Hi, good afternoon, friends. Welcome to Roaring Cycle Spotlight. I hope you all had a good week and are also looking for a good week ahead. Today, we have a very interesting person who is into a lot of fitness. I would say he's a fitness enthusiast and he loves to play. He's a bassist and he is part of a band in Nagaland. He loves to ride motorcycles and he's a tough guy. So we'll just wait for him to join us, and I will add him on to this interview. So he is a very special guest, and today we are going to learn about. Not learn, I mean, it's not a school, but then, yeah, we are going to know more about Nagaland and what the people are like, the culture, tradition, and a lot more. And of course, about his passion to ride motorcycles and how he developed it and everything. So we'll just wait for him to join us before I add him on. Any rides today or yesterday? Anywhere people went? Any new place in and around Mumbai where I can go? Thanks all for joining. Who have joined a little late. We are still waiting for our guest to join. Hi Mehul. Hi Monali. I'm just trying to find out if the. Sorry for the delay. I think he's having some problem to join in the session. Give him a few minutes. Cool. We have our guest with us. Let me add him on. I think the network is slow. Um,
Hi,
hey,
hello.
hi.
Hi,
How are
hi.
you?
I'm too good, thank you. How are you all there?
Yeah, it's good over here as well. It's been raining. It was raining yesterday in the morning, but then now it is sunny and bright.
Okay, I'm sorry I had to keep you waiting. I'm caught up with a bad case of fever and flu.
No worries, no problem. So, Benley, I mean, if I can call you Benley as a nickname, uh, welcome to Roaring Cycle Spotlight, and we are happy to have you with us on this show. And
Yes,
thank you for accepting to be with us and allowing us to interview you. So, quickly, without wasting much time, can you tell us something about yourself other than being a biker?
well, nothing much. I'm actually a man of all trades and master of none kind of person. Well, my name Benli Long is not like I always tell people. It's not exactly Benli Long. It's Bendang Liba Long Comer. And
Okay.
well, I am not caught up with any work as of now. But yes, I was working elsewhere with the state government. I quit now due to some personal reasons. And as of
Mm-hmm.
now, I do some freelancing here and there. And besides that, I work with the BJP, the youth wing. I work as the general secretary of the Yuva Manch in Dimapur district.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Besides
That
that, I do motorcycling. As you know, I love to travel. I love to hike once in a while. I'm mostly an outdoor kind of person, not much of a normal guy. And yeah, I am not also a fitness guru, by the way. I'm also into my learning stage. And I'm into with the music fraternity also. I play bass now and then, not a full-time basis, but then yeah, I love to play bass, so yeah, I can always call myself a bassist. And
wow.
yes, I ride with the very.
Uh, Sorry, we lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the network out here. It's very horrible here. So as I was saying, besides riding this, I'm not much of a fitness guru. Besides that, I do ride with the Nagaland Motorcycle Club. I'm a member of the Nagaland
Uh-huh.
Motorcycle Club. I think it's known to a lot of people.
Yeah,
We
it
were supposed
is.
to host NERM also this year, the Northeast Riders Meet,
Mm-hmm.
coinciding with our club's 10th anniversary of foundation. But it has
Okay,
been postponed because of the COVID outbreak and all. So it's been postponed to next year. So
cool.
that's it.
So how did all this biking start with you?
Come again.
How did you start with biking? Like, what brought about this passion in you?
Um, well, riding with the club hasn't been for long. It's about 8 years, I think, riding with the club. But yes, I had been riding since I just entered my teens. Actually, my dad was also into motorcycles. He have a couple of motorcycles, like the
Mm-hmm.
RD350. I grew up with RD350 and the ESD, Java Road King at home.
Uh-huh.
So
Lovely.
motorcycling was there, the RX 135. I grew up watching them repair it, and my mother's younger brother, also my uncle, he loved motorcycles. So I saw them discuss about motorcycles, repairing them at home. Mostly those days there were no garages, much of garages. So I saw them doing that at home, and I somehow the fascination for motorcycles just grew like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
after I entered my teens, and I would sneak out with that dad's cast iron. He had this standard bullet. So
Uh-huh.
I rode the standard bullet to my secondary.
Okay.
So that is how the fascination for motorcycles grew, and especially for Royal Enfield, though it was there since a long time back.
Okay.
And that is how it took off, and then it never stopped actually. So every
Cool.
day is evolving. I'm adapting and I'm learning so many things. I'm still in the learning stage, I would say.
That's very humble of you to say that you're still in the learning stage. I mean, after
No, no, it
riding for
actually
nearly
it
7
actually is
years.
true. It is true actually, because see, I don't know, I'm very privileged to be here, but there are so many wonderful experienced and senior motorcyclists out here in our club, other clubs, and even all over India and abroad. Yeah. But being called here for this live interview, it's an honor for me, and I'm very humbled actually. So every day I'm learning from people from my club. Also, there are so many seniors that I respect, and I learn from them every day. like every day, even if it's a solo ride I'm doing or it's with a club, I learn something or the other about motorcycles.
Mhm.
That is how I'm adapting and I'm evolving every day.
Lovely. So, where all have you ridden on your motorcycle? I mean, which parts of India, or has it been just Nagaland?
Well, um, I will not say I rode on my motorcycle to many places, but wherever I have been, I had a motorcycle. That is my days in Delhi. I had a motorcycle. I had an RX there, RX 135
Mhm.
there. I bought it dirt cheap from those Sarojini Nagar garages, kind of thing. And then FZ Pulsar 220, and also even in Shillong, the KTM Duke 200 was. I mean, not KTM, sorry, Duke 200 was introduced there. And I rode, saw some places in Meghalaya where when I was in Shillong, and then
Uh-huh.
my mother is from Assam actually, by the way. So places in
Okay.
Assam that I rode to when I was there, whenever I could be there. It's just that the Northeast I couldn't explore much. Although I'm from the Northeast, I still want to explore parts of Northeast, and I want to explore part of Northeast. And I will not say I have even seen the whole of Nagaland also. Nagaland is very big and very diverse. And the roads also, the roads are connectivity, it's quite a problem. So we have to really plan and go for the rides and all. And besides that, our state being, I come from a middle class family. So financial
Mhm.
constraints for going out for rides and all, you need to plan everything. So parts of Nagaland that I still need to explore, like explore as in not just go, like more for most people. When you say you travel and you have seen places, I don't know how the idea came about for most people to say that they have visited, they took an all India ride, but I don't find justice being done when I say I've covered all of Nagaland when I have just visited only some of the main towns, and I just say I've covered every district, things like that. I cannot say I've,
Right.
even if I've traveled every state in India, just for an example, just citing an example, I cannot say I've visited all of India because besides those towns, there are villages and every corner. I don't think there is any traveler who can say they have truly visited and traveled all around the world, and cannot say I cannot even say I've traveled the whole of the district of Dimapur because there are so many corners in Dimapur I haven't seen. So traveling is something that never ends. You know, it,
Absolutely.
it, it's like learning. So traveling is something that never ends. According to me, that is just my humble opinion. So I will not
Correct.
say I will not say I've traveled much. I think about this much as far as I can see. That is how it
Yeah,
is.
very
So
true.
some
We
parts of
cannot.
Northeast, yeah, I can only say
Yeah.
I've seen parts. I have seen some parts of Mizoram, some parts of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Nagaland, some parts of my own Nagaland. I can say not whole of
Mhm.
Nagaland. Although I have seen every district, but I'll still say only some parts of Nagaland. Things like that, and some parts of Delhi and some parts of northern India. While I was in Delhi, a few parts of Ludhiana and all that. Not like visiting the fields and all that. I wouldn't say those are places I've
Correct.
seen. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not possible to visit a place and just say that you have visited it entirely, because there's so many things to see. And like Geet here, he's also saying like India changes every passing day, and there's always something new to experience every day in the same place. So yes, we cannot really say that we have covered each and every place, no matter, even if we
Exactly.
visit each and every district or whatever, and we may see all the main places, but yes, the true essence, unless you live there and go into each and every nook and corner of it, and that is not possible. So
No,
yeah.
exactly. Like many people have said I have done all India ride. Yeah, all India ride to TK, but you cannot say like you've covered all of India. I did an all India, like state ride kind of thing. You can always say all India states ride or something, but you cannot say you have covered all of India. I don't understand that idea. I don't think there are travelers abroad. I follow some of the bikers and some of the off-road travelers. Just some travelers that I follow abroad. They are so humble. I've seen. I don't know why our people in India, they tend to say I have covered all. All is a word I don't know why we so love to use. people from abroad, although they've seen they touch every nook and corner, but they still humbly say, "I'm still exploring." You know, their word is always like continuously. The exploring thing is always continuous. For us, it's like, "Hey, chalo, ek to all India ride mar diya, हर state union territory को touch कर दिया, बस खत्म मेरा ride, मतलब all India खत्म कर दिया मतलब." It's not like that. It's about, for a traveler, you are really into traveling, and it's about touching lives and not just experiencing the joy of traveling ourselves, but sharing, like carrying something and giving it to others also. You know, as a motorcyclist and and a person who loves to travel, I say it's about giving a part of something, a happiness to others also, meeting them and sharing about our culture and tradition, discussing with them. It's not about just sitting, travel, you go somewhere, meet some biker friend of yours, just travel, sit, drink, have fun, just shout around the whole day, just play some music, dance, and then the bus, that's it. No, like, it's always good to share and connect and, know about each other's lives and places, and that way you grow in mind and intellect also. So I've always loved the idea of doing that. I love to sit with people I meet and then make friends, and making friends not just for the minute, for the moment, but and not just being hello and hi on Facebook, but keeping it long term. Keeping it long term. That is how I think we can make a new India. We cannot always keep a long distance relationship, like disconnected, but just connected through technology, and then just say that we are new India. New India is all about connecting and then building the bond so that our children can just take it further again. That is how traveling should also come along with that patriotism, and traveling. Should, if it is bonded together, I think traveling would be even more beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in that way, even I will say that I have traveled all of India, but then, yeah, it's never enough for me. I still want to go around it a lot of time.
Yes,
So,
I think even in your own town, I'm sure you have missed out some places.
of course, a lot of places. Yes, I've visited all the states and the union territories and things like that. But yeah, I'm not satisfied with it, and I would still definitely go around and explore more about each state and every place. So, coming to the states and all that, tell us something about Nagaland. So, like, we would like to know what Nagaland is all about.
Nagaland has so much to offer if you truly, it's like you should be like a treasure hunter if you're coming to Nagaland. If you come like a traveler and just come see some places and go, no, you need to dig and really explore, and you should come with the concept of exploring. And it also depends, if you're a traveler, if you're interested in art, you can always find art in some remote area. And if it's history, you will find history in Nagaland as well. And if it's adventure you seek, and then again there are trekking trails and places to trek, travel, camp, things like that. And provided you also try to at least find out about the place where you're visiting, the people there, their customs and traditions. Because out of town, like Dimapur, Kohima, and the Mokokchung, Zunikoto, the main towns, Wokha, and all the main towns, people are okay, but villages, we still maintain that strict protocol of our customs and traditions and villages.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
although people see people from out of Northeast, and even in some places, people of Northeast, they see us, as very raw, those angry, aggressive kind of people. But no, we are not. We are still hospitable. I have some friends, biker friends, who were narrating stories about before we knew each other, narrating about their
Uh-huh.
stories and travels in Nagaland, that they had a breakdown, and they were caught up in the middle of the night. They didn't know what to do. They just knocked at the door of somebody they didn't know in a village, remote kind of village, and then people welcomed them, gave them food, gave them shelter, made them sleep, made them feel at home. The next day, called a pickup truck, and then they were not charged anything. The bike was put, and then how the villagers helped them, and other things like that. There are so many stories that haven't been shared. The only stories that have been shared were whatever the news and media and all the social media have shared, all the negativities. But there are so many beautiful stories in Netherlands that travelers have experienced. So I would also like to put forward that idea that if you're coming to a village, at least respect the cultures, traditions, and the boundaries that mark all those traditions, and things like that.
Right.
So and you will always be welcome. I'm sure you will never be disappointed coming to Nagaland. It is not big. It is about 16,600. It's almost 16,600 square kilometers. It's not big,
Mm-hmm.
and we are about almost 2 crores of population. It's
Okay.
not big, like compared to other states. It's not big. So it is not hard to blend with 2 crores of population. You're
Right.
not going to blend
Right.
with the entire two crores of population. You can come,
Correct.
just like get to at least get to find out about where you want to visit and what kind of people
Hmm.
you are going to be meeting, because um, in India also there are some places where customs and traditions are so strongly, but particularly in Nagaland we are still holding on to our customs and traditions, because there is one reason why there are always clashes between the customary law sometimes and the judicial form of law in Nagaland. That is how it implies, because we still hold
Hmm.
on to that. We still hold on to
Right.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then besides that, the insurgency thing that is still not solved. No, they're just for
Correct.
the safety of the travelers and whoever the tourists. I would always
Right.
suggest you try to find somebody who can actually connect you, and find a friend or somebody, or get and connect to somebody, and then you come. Like, your stay would always be brilliant here. The people are good. People are hospitable. They are loving and generous. People, I think there, it's not that because I'm from Nagaland, I'm saying even if I was a traveler and I've experienced Nagaland, I would have said there is nobody as generous as the Nagas are. Yeah,
I
although there
agree
are
to that. Nagaland people are really sweet and very helpful, and I love their. I mean, I love their discipline. And what I read or what I know is like Nagaland is the quietest city or quietest state in India, and because there is no one honking and there are no one overtaking, even if there is a long queue out
no, no,
there
there
on the
is there is
highways anywhere. I mean, I saw it myself when I was there, and that patience. And then I was stuck during when I came. It was during the Hornbill Festival season, and I didn't find a place to stay. But at 11:13 the night, I called up someone and I said, I don't have a place to stay. Can you help me arrange something? And one of the people, they actually helped me. They went around all the places and found a hotel for me to stay the night. So that was like, I mean, very helpful. Yes, absolutely. And they took care of me as well.
again, like I said, there are vices on the other hand. You might have not have seen those honkings and overtakings, but they are, and especially the motorcycle clubs. Not only our club, the other clubs are also really emphasizing on all the putting into the minds of the all the members of every club, motorcycle clubs and other adventure clubs that are here. They are all trying to emphasize on this, on discussing about safety and traffic regulations and following that, and then just sharing it, broadening the horizons for the public also. We are trying every day, like our club also, we collaborate with the traffic police of Dimapur, our town, that is. And likewise, our counterpart in Kohima, or the Nagaland Motorcycle Club, the Kohima chapter also does the same thing. In Tuensang, we have three
Mm.
chapters that there is Tuensang chapter also does the same thing. We try to do whatever we can. We try to contribute towards public awareness and all, and other clubs are also doing the same. So I hope we will see better days, and this awareness will come into light somehow. It's a slow start, and yeah, it's a slow start, and I'm sure it will be, even the progress will be slow, but I'm sure it will happen. I'm very sure. I'm very positive it will happen.
Yes, yes. And I'm sure too, because like I said, I've seen that discipline myself over there, and it is not very difficult to improve the status, unlike in many other states. So,
Maybe it's because you came during the Hornbill Festival, where the traffic police people are very strict, and then people are also a little aware at that time. They try to be a little disciplined,
yeah,
because
that
there
was
are
the
tourists
first
that
time.
already.
But
Our people are.
I came again in Feb 2018, and again I saw the same thing. So I slightly disagree with you. I know the people are pretty disciplined and nice.
Thank you. And maybe on the other hand, it's because we are hospitable towards our tourists, or even our people. During the Hornbill Festival, we tend to, at least be hospitable with discipline at least. Maybe. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad.
So tell us something about your, like you said, I really appreciate that you people hold on to your culture and tradition so much. I've also heard that there are many tribes in Nagaland. So the last time I came, it was about 16 official tribes, but you said it's about 18.
It's about
And how do
18.
you all know about these things?
Still, yeah, it's about 16. Officially, it's 16. But like I was saying, the demand for tribal, tribal, what do you call it? What do you call it? Um, to be recognized among the tribes. There are some couple of tribes that are still, it's like some Nagas from Manipur, some Nagas from Assam. The integration, the political thing. That is what I was sharing. That was what I wanted to
Uh-huh.
share actually. The thing is
Yeah.
always going on. So
Okay.
the need for recognition is always going on for other tribes also to be in Nagaland. But then yeah, but again on a political term, I would say the recognition of tribes is on the verge again, that people want to be recognized, but the boundary is not being shared, kind of thing. That conflict has been going on. That is it. So from apart from the 16 tribe, if you meet some other Naga from fellow Naga from another state, that person
Mm-hmm.
might say he's a Naga, and then he is among those tribes. That means that is 17. Again, you meet the other 18%, so you might say 18. Things like
Okay.
that. So this is why till now I have experienced 18. Like apart from the official tribe, I have met a couple of people like who said he's a Naga. So that makes, according to me, is the 17th, and the other is 18, kind of thing. Yeah, things like that. So yeah, officially, but then it's 16 all the way as of now. As of now.
Right. So, on a general day, how would you distinguish between the tribes? As in, I know that like all these different tribes have a different way of clothing, or at least from the weave, certain designs belong to certain tribes. But on a day-to-day basis, how do you distinguish between these tribes?
Well, we have see our Naga culture has our Naga culture tradition and history. History is has been like yes, has been just passed through folklore and through the songs and vocals. It's just been vocals only till now to this day, and just artifacts or markings, things like that. But there's no scripted history as of for Nagaland, the origin of Nagaland, and things like that. But again, on the other hand, as of currently, our generation, my father's, from what I know, is through language only. Like every village and every tribe has their own language, and then again, not within the tribe there are villages. Some tribes have villages whose language, differs. That is how we distinguish. And again, our names, our clans, that is how we distinguish and we come to know. And we have no common language as of now. Like English is what we officially say is a common language in Nagaland. But then again, it is actually Naga mix, which is a mix of Hindi and Assamese. Assamese as in like those Ahom days,
Uh-huh.
uh, the 13th to 17th, 18th century, 19th century, and like the border trade and cross culture and marital relationship between
Uh-huh.
kings and subjects, citizens. That is how this word Nagamis evolved, and then this language Nagamis. It's not exactly a language, also I would say, but that is how it evolved. So Nagamis is how we communicate with other tribes. And
Uh-huh.
besides that, so say I call myself an Ao, but I come from a village called Chanki. So again, we
Okay.
Chankis have our different language, which
Mm-hmm.
other villages don't speak. So, but then again, for the owls, there's this general language. There's Chungli, that is spoken by many, like commonly, and we understand each other. Things like that.
Nice. And what about the food? So I know Naga has the hottest chili ever in the world. I mean, that's grown
Oh
there.
yes, there are many tourists who have gone back with memories of red hot chili
Yeah,
pepper.
yeah.
So yeah,
I have
yeah.
tasted it. It's really like hot and spicy. I
Yes,
mean,
yes,
really good.
and again the Naga chili also. There are some certain species from certain areas that are things you shouldn't try. These are things not to forbidden taboo chilies. Actually, I am actually scared of the this king chili from the Ziliangrong area.
Uh-huh.
Theirs is I think there has to be the spiciest one hottest one according to me.
Okay. And and
Even though
and
it's
uh,
even though
and
it's
even
my
the
favorite,
sticky
I
rice is
tend to.
pretty famous there, right?
Yeah, it's famous, and I don't know. Somehow it's being exported also outside, and then but it's the business prospects out here. I don't know how it's somehow a little low, and people from outside come and take it away, and then they export. Our people are simple people, you know. I don't know how somehow some people from our villages, our Naga villages get. I don't know how people get through to them, and then you know that place, our entire Naga chili is being exported all over the world, and then somehow I come to know, even though trademark is Naga chili, the owner who exported it is not at all from Nagaland.
Oh my God.
I somehow wish I wish somebody from somebody from outside comes and really helps the villagers and the entrepreneurs grow selflessly, and then helps them market the product like to big international market.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
just wish somebody from mainland India comes and does that. Why don't you suggest someone? Things like that. I just want somebody to help our farmers grow.
Yeah, maybe one day, yeah, let's try to do something around that. I'm not sure how to go about it, but yes, definitely there should be something that goes around it. But yeah, so you have to tell me more about the food culture, how it is, and so I know only three things. I know one is the sticky rice, I know the king mirchi, and I know the rice beer. I don't know anything else. You have to tell me more about it.
Uh, there are this rice beer and varieties of rice beer and beer and local wines being made. Local wines have been made from time immemorial, but just that it wasn't being used so widely. Actually, the brew was mostly common, the beer. And then we have exotic dishes also. Like the sumis, semas or sumis. This certain tribe, sumis and semas, they have this fermented beans, soya beans, smaller ones.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
it's akuni as we know them, and then there is our tribe has these yam leaves, which we call anishi, and Ziliangos have their own mustard leaves, fermented. It's fermented stuffs only. Most people use fermented stuffs, and they are so exotic. These are things that you should try, and then river fishes, which is not mentioned at all, but every villager, every tribe has this exotic way of cooking this fish, as how we call it pungsen. Pungsen as in like we cook it in bamboo, steam it in bamboo, just by the fire we just steam it. And that is one exotic dish that people should try. Hornbill Festival, it is always available. You can, if you're visiting during Hornbill Festival or any other Naga festival, you can always ask for it. It's called pungsen, or the just in common language is the bamboo shoot fish and all. These are
okay.
things you should try. These are things. The river fish is, it's one of my favorites. So yeah,
Wow.
I'm
I don't eat
actually hunting.
non-vegetarian food, so I will definitely tell my friends who eat
If,
non-vegetarian
if
food to go
you're
and
looking
try.
for non-vegetarian foods, also there are non-vegetarian foods like the ours. We have this rusap that it's a mixture of all vegetables. Like it dates back to those days when those farmers would just gather whatever they could, hunters and farmers could gather and then just cook it in a bamboo but or clay pot. So and that's how this rusap thing came about. It's cooked very tenderly, and
Uh-huh.
the rusap, as in the water, is totally dried, and then it's kept cool, and then let it be cooled, and then we eat it. And it's delicious, and it's a very healthy food also, nutritious and healthy.
I will definitely try it. I will get in touch with you to try all those food when I come there.
Yep, sure.
So, Chuba Sudhir, is that the way did I pronounce it correct? He says local ingredients like anishi, akuni, based on the specialists and all these, and then
Chubat Sudhir is
akon.
my cousin. He works in the Delhi police.
Oh, okay,
He's my
nice,
cousin.
nice.
Always supportive.
So yeah, Nagas have definitely. I mean, more of the history of Nagaland. Nagas have been more of warriors. They have also been in the front for the world wars and all that. Uh, so I mean, does it still exist, or how does it work?
Well, in our hearts, we are still warriors. A lot of us are. We still love our land. We are very protective about it, and we still love our land. So in our hearts, we are still warriors. That's what I can. That's what I would like to say. But it's not that we are ready for war and we want to kill someone. It's not like that. We are just still
No,
protective about our
definitely.
culture, tradition, and our land. We are very protective about it. A lot of us are still patriotic about it. And then on the other hand, if you are really looking to find remains of the warriors, and you can still find them in some villages like places in Mon district. There are still those angs, or we call them the village chiefs or kings. So who were ultimate judges and the markers of the customary laws and traditions, things like that. You can still find them, and then you can still find remains of artifacts and traditional war markings, shields, spears, what you name it, you will find it in around Mon district, a little interiors of the Mon district and Tuensangwa as well. Yeah, you can always explore those places if you're looking for history about the Naga warriors and all, and skulls there of the headhunters. There are still remains of them in caves and even in morungs. Morungs, as you know, are the traditional huts of the Angs, or also known as the common place where they meet and discuss things like that.
Yeah. So what are the festivals that you generally hold in Nagaland, and like what is the best time to visit the places?
Oh man, if I had to tell you that it would be so many, there is this Angamis. They celebrate the Sekrini in February. I'll just tell you the actual main ones. So these Angamis, they celebrate Sekrini in February, and then the
Mm-hmm.
Aos celebrate Moatze in May and Sungermung in August. These are all actually harvests and all related to agriculture and all,
Mm-hmm.
harvesting, sowing and harvesting. And the Chakasangs, they celebrate Sukreni in January and uh, Tukhini in April, and
Uh-huh.
Changs, they celebrate Nukniulim, I think Nukniulim in July, and
Okay.
Kiamunguns, they celebrate Sukom in October. The Cookies, they celebrate Mimkut in January. This is something I visit often. I find Mimkut very, very interesting. And then this Kongyak, I would always love to visit this always, but I
Uh-huh.
can't. Howling in April. And the Kacharish also, they celebrate this Vishu in January. And the Lothas, they celebrate Toku Imong in November. The Poms, they celebrate Monyo in April. And Pochuris, they celebrate Yimshe in October, and Rengmas, Nada in November. I really have to think.
Wow,
Sumis,
that's a
they
lot
celebrate
of.
Simis, they celebrate Simis in July. And Sanctums, they celebrate Mongmong in September. I'm sure you're recording all this. I will forget it again.
Yes,
Imchungers, they
yes.
celebrate Metemnio in August. Ziliangs, they celebrate Milini in March and Chagagadi in October. I think that's about all I know, or I can
Wow,
remember. Yeah, I think that's all I can remember. 16 tribes,
that
basic.
that's a lot. That's a lot.
And there are some that I still couldn't remember. I'm really sorry if this has offended anyone.
No, no, that's so much. All I knew was about the Hornbill Festival, and then there is a season when this particular bird that flies from the extreme north to the south of the world, and it takes only one halt in Nagaland in that particular forest. That's all I know about. So these are the only two things that I knew about Nagaland. But then now you have told me so many festivals. That's like an awesome big list. So
I'm so
visiting
sorry.
Nagaland.
Actually, there are more. I couldn't remember. Apart from the 16, I think 17, 18, I could remember. But there are so many more.
Uh-huh. So yeah, you have to tell me like what are the places that we can visit in Nagaland, and what about the inline permits? Do we need it in many places, or how does it work?
Oh man. Well, places to visit in Nagaland, like I said, I'm also a small time traveler, and I cannot say, like I told you already, I cannot say I've traveled the whole of Nagaland myself. I cannot say I've even traveled the whole of Dimapur myself. I would humbly just accept that. Well, even in Dimapur, I'm sure there are so many places that tourists would be interested about, which I haven't seen maybe. Even sometimes even the sunset point, just stand in a corner. There's this particular two trees, and there's this sunset coming up from between. That can be a place of interest for people. It might be a very beautiful place, that you might like to
Right.
visit. Things like that. So, well, there is Honama village and Zulake if you are looking for adventure camping and stuff like that in Kohima. And then besides that, if you are a historical fan, there's this war cemetery and the museum in Kohima. And there's this all this village is among the Angamis is Kigoma village again. And there's this Kohima village bird sanctuary, Kohima World War Memorial, Kohima Cathedral State Museum, and things like that in Kohima. And there's this Zukus, which is very known to everyone to
Yeah.
if you have there is this Mount Jafu if you are looking for places to trek and camp.
Uh-huh.
And in International Trade Center, Pangsha, which is in Pensang. And in Oka there is this Doyang, which is an angler's delight. Being an angler myself, angler's delight. And then Chida Post in Pek, and then there's Chisizu village and oh man, Shiloi Lake, Mount Saramati bordering Burma, which is
Uh-huh.
in
Yeah.
very district. And if you are looking for handicrafts and all, there is this Riguri village to go and see. And then, Amur Falcon roosting place that you were asking me about. It's in Pangti village in Oka.
Okay.
And then there's this wildlife sanctuary at Satoi village in Sataka village. There is this again Goshu Wildlife Bird Sanctuary, which is at Gokyo village in Zuniboto. If you're looking for wood carving, if you're a lover of art and all, if you're into wood carving, there is this Longwa village where you get to see wood carvings as well as those war artifacts and all that if you are interested in. I think that's about all I can remember. Yeah, too complex. And then, there is Mount Tigi in Woka, which I have always been interested, but I tried 2 times, but it was raining and I had to cancel both trips. The Mount Tigi in Woka is something I would love to see. And and again the foot Lake Shiloi that I was telling you, it's in the shape of a foot actually. It's in the shape of a foot.
Okay.
I think, and it's very serene, and I don't know how it is now, but I went some years back and there was no network, absolutely no network, so it's very peaceful for people like me. If I want to detox once in a while, just stay, go be in the peace and quiet. Lake Shiloi is good. Japfu Picto, yeah, I think the good time to visit is almost there, provided the lockdown norms are relaxed a little, which is I think about 3,090 or 84 or 94, I don't remember, meters above sea level. So you can always visit Japfu Peak also, it's good. So many things, and even in Mokokchung also, there are so many places to visit actually. The first missionaries who came to Nagaland, E.W. Clark, Dr. E.W. Clark, they were in Mokokchung area. So Mokokchung has also a lot of places to differ. Since Mokokchung is from my place, I will not say much about Mokokchung. It will be like being biased with other people. I would just go on. Yeah, I could just go on and on and on. So I would be biased because I cannot remember so many places of interest for other people, And then there is Mount Zanibu also, which and Zudu Lake again. And then there's this bonsai tree, tallest bonsai tree in India, which is in Palomi Forest. Palomi Forest. You can see those places. If you're looking, for photography and adventure and all that, like Palomi trees and all that, the areas are good actually. And then if you're looking for for adventure as well as ethnic food and just to have some leisure time, quiet, and then as well as explore all those old Siros, old caves and all. There are places in Koilwa village also. Koilwa
Uh-huh.
village is under you can go via Kohima and then enter
Okay.
Konoma, Zulki. You see those Konoma, Zulki, those eco village, green eco villages, and then you can go to Koilwa, or you can go via Peran and then go. It's up to you, or you can just have best of both worlds, just swing around.
Awesome.
There
And what
are
about the inline permits? Like, how do we get inline permits, and how long is it valid for generally?
inline permit is these days has been quite a problem actually, but it's not quite a
Yeah.
problem if you can do it online also, and you can get
Uh-huh.
it done online. And then on the other hand, you have friends now, you have me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can always get it done. We can help you if you have good friends. We can help you, and then you can get it done online. It's not a big deal, but it all depends on what your purpose of the visit is. Yes, you can
Mhm.
accordingly you can apply. It's nothing that complex.
Yeah,
But
because
yes,
I think
I would suggest a lot of our friends not to at least come with inner line permit me because I have had friends coming from outside just trusting me or some other friends, whom they know, like common friend, just coming in and then start traveling and going. But at least I would just love it. I would just respect you even more if you can. That the friendship would be even better if you can respect your friends' cultural and
absolutely.
zone traditions. No, we should respect one another. Just because we are brothers, we are sisters, we are friends, doesn't mean we can just invade each other's territory. You are just like one wouldn't like it if I just go invade in somebody. Like I cannot go sit outside a temple and just do whatever I want.
Correct.
Likewise,
Absolutely.
I would love my friends to respect the laws that we have set in our state also. Like inner line permit
Uh-huh.
applies strictly, and yes, you can somehow get away with it sometimes. The law tends
Mhm.
to nothing is perfect, so the law sometimes misses out on small things like bikers, especially with bikers who are traveling without ILP. They somehow tend to get away with it. But I say like friends like why don't you just take the trouble to at least apply for an ILP? It's not going to hurt or cost you much and not take much of your time. I would love it if you can respect what the law has said for you. A citizen of India, as a citizen of India, we should respect the laws that our country has set. We cannot always keep blaming the leaders and our political leaders. Like
Right.
if I'm an Indian, I should know how to respect our cultural, Indian cultural system, judicial system, and how the constitution runs. If
Absolutely.
I'm not, I cannot blame a leader just being an irresponsible citizen myself. If I want to do
Absolutely.
something for the society, if I truly think for the society, I need to be responsible myself first of all. Having fun
Correct.
and your personal life is your own thing. It's your own choice. Your personal life is your own choice. But if you are things like if you are traveling or if you are visiting some place, I think as a citizen you should always respect one another's boundaries and laws that exist within the boundary. This is
Yes,
a
I
humble
completely
opinion.
agree with you. Because if
Yeah.
we are not going to respect our country's rule and we are not going to follow it, we can't expect anyone else coming into our country to visit and respect our tradition, culture, or our rules and regulations when we ourselves are not respecting it. I mean, if हम लोग
I,
अगर
I have
इज्जत नहीं देंगे तो कोई नहीं देगा.
हाँ तो वो नहीं होता ना हमने देखा कुछ सोशल मीडिया में भी पहले देखा था क्योंकि कुछ बाइकर्स और ऐसे ट्रैवलर्स आया था नागालैंड में तो लोग आके मतलब अपना मनमानी करने लगे तो ऑब्वियसली टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट पीपल कैन टॉलरेट देम बट ऐसा नहीं होता है ना अपना मनमानी करो जहां भी जाए अपना मनमानी करो तो तुम तो प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया बन गया नहीं तो प्रेसिडेंट भी
Correct.
खुद इवन द प्रेसिडेंट
President
ऑफ
भी नहीं
इंडिया
कर सकता. I mean, no one
even the
should
president of India
cross
also
the line.
would get lauded for that. Even the president of India would get lauded of that for that. Even if he enters a small colony, he just spend a small locality and just does whatever he wants. It doesn't imply like that. So I guess in Nagaland also, people we are already known. We are already known for upholding our customary and traditional beliefs. Although like people, what they see in the metros, some youths And some people from our state, it really hurts me to see them do that. But it is not that a few of them have this, do things that people would, judge the entire race and our community, Naga community for, which is
Right.
something I really don't appreciate. We really don't appreciate. Actually, out here, a lot of us in the villages, there are a majority of people, Nagas in the villages and in Nagaland, then they are in the cities. Yeah, how can just a handful of Nagas in the cities, based on them, the entire race of the Nagas are being judged in, things like that. I'm sorry, it's not related to, it's related to traveling and all, but I
No,
have to share
I
this
understand.
since this is
I
a good
understand your
platform to share.
frustration, and yes, it's like I have seen that, and I have felt it when I was visiting all the northeastern states, that somehow there has been some injustice done to them, and they have not been recognized properly. And I completely agree to that, and I respect everyone's individuality, and definitely for I have respect for each one of you and for each of the states, the people out there, and all the citizens. But yes, it's going to be a little long time for others to recognize that, okay, you people are equally as human as what we are over here. So it should not be like India is two different countries. It's just one country, and we all are
Yeah,
Indians.
I would always suggest travelers to at least share some few good experiences instead after experiencing you have traveled for 10 days, you have experienced 9 best days, and then just for one particular day, 1 hour of bad experience, just
Yeah, yeah,
in the entire journey. That is not how it is. Me as a traveler, I have experienced some, traveler and somebody who has also stayed outside a couple of times. I have also had my share of bad experiences, which I have never to this day shared, on those platforms or whatever. Because I know there are some good people I have met, and the majority of the people I've met have been good people. They have not harmed me. They have not uh, done anything wrong to me. Just because I have
right.
a few experiences with people of a different mindset, that doesn't make the entire region bad. Like they
Absolutely.
just because there is insurgency in Nagaland doesn't make the entire citizens of Nagaland insurgents.
No, not at all.
Insurgency is just a handful here.
Correct.
So I am not an insurgent. My fellow motorcyclists and my fellow friends are not insurgents. So
Not at all.
you
Not
come
at
to
all.
us, we take you around, you go back having a good experience. The next time you come, you know the places, so you come, you didn't meet us, you let us know you have come, fine, but you had a bad experience. Now you can with some just say just an example, citing an example. Just say you had some bad experience with the insurgents. Now मैं तो insurgent नहीं बन गया ना.
नहीं
So
नहीं बिल्कुल नहीं.
that experience should somehow be filtered and then shared. The way some people
Definitely.
portray. I don't know why some people portray the entire of Naga race as very vile, aggressive and hot-headed people. It doesn't generally happen like that.
Absolutely.
We're just
And I
we are
completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of people who are protective about our place because we like with the evolution of generation and of the generation and evolution of the lifestyle and all. We are also learning slowly. Like compared to mainland India, we Nagas are still behind. We are still learning. So, Bare
No,
Bhai
not at all.
ko,
I didn't feel
no,
that you people are lagging somewhere. See, every state has its own uniqueness, and I think Nagaland or any other state in Northeast has its own uniqueness, and it is so rich. And trust me, we feel so proud that somewhere at least the cultures are maintained. Of course, it's maintained in many of the states, or rather all the states where we go to the rural side, but. Yeah, typically in Northeast, I've always seen that people stick to their culture and their tradition so strongly, and it gives me a sense of pride that uh, you know my India is still there and is still holding on to its traditions and everything. And trust me, I always speak so well of all the states. It's never a bad impression for me, never ever.
yeah. Like my brother Chuba out here was saying the misconception of Northeast has to be removed. Yes, actually,
Absolutely.
usually I have also done in previous interviews also. I always shared that like the misconception of Northeast. One thing that we should understand is the person who is coming from a more advanced region should understand that he has entered a more, confined area. So of understanding where he cannot expect people to understand to his level. So he should be the one coming down to at least understand us. So as a person, somebody I yes, just citing an example again, if a person from a very highly developed, highly advanced country comes and visits Nagaland, and they don't respect our culture and traditions, what does he expect us to? What does he expect
Correct.
us to do? What does they expect us to do? We cannot
No,
just sit
nothing.
back.
I mean, you
Yeah.
should just be yourself, and that's what matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who
And
visits you. They
again,
are only visitors, and they are only tourists, and they cannot define your lifestyle for at any given point of
and,
time.
and see, one thing I've noticed is our friends from mainland India, our tourists from mainland India, like we are all Indians, like I say, mainland India, Northeast, that is how we usually generate the term. So, friends from mainland India, again, I'll say, of course, who are also our fellow Indians, whenever they come to the Northeast, I have noticed that the respect that the people from Northeast gets from the international tourists is far more. Respect and understanding that we get from those international tourists is far more smaller actually. The international
Yeah.
tourists somehow they before they enter any country or any area, any region, I have seen them being very cautious about whichever territory they set foot into. But whereas
Yeah.
within our own self,
I will just cut you off a little because I'm running sort of that 1 hour time. We will join back in 1 minute, and do join back, and to the audience as well. Please do join back, and we will continue this conversation. Give me 1 minute,
yeah,
okay? Thank
chalo,
you.
chalo. Right.
Guys, please do join back in another minute. We are ending this session for now. Please do join back. Thank you.